Hello.
Oh, yes. We are back here once again for the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. Episode, who knows at this point. But as always,
Honestly,
I'm here, my lovely movie co-host, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I went for a walk with Magoo earlier. And then other than that, just kind of chilled. I finished the my rewatch of Halloween Town, and then I started my rewatch of Freaky. And
Good
just been kind
choices.
of
Good choices.
yeah, just been kind of chilling because I'm trying to for myself, I'm trying to get to 31 movies of Halloween if I can.
Yeah.
So I made a list on my letterbox, but other than that, just kind of chilling, and then I'm going to a hockey game with Emily tonight.
Yeah, I didn't do too much either. Really just kind of chilled. I saw a movie earlier, Royal Hotel. Good stuff. Very tense and uncomfy at points, but good stuff. Definitely recommend if you like Kitty Green's other works. But we're not here to talk about Kitty Green's other works. We're here to talk about Survivor, episode 3, even though episode 4 comes out tomorrow. We were supposed to do this last night, and then my dumbass fell asleep. So woo. Um, anyway, yeah, we're
No,
here to talk.
I think we were going to do Big Brother last night, actually, and then Survivor
Oh,
was supposed to be this morning.
yeah, that was the hope, and then all that went to shit because I had to help my dad fix a new put a new TV together in the house, so weren't able to do that anyway. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Survivor. And I will just say right now, I am absolutely loving the season so far. I've already talked about it. We already talked about in the last 2 episodes a little bit of how I think the 90-minute episodes are really helping the show. But it's
Oh yeah,
episodes like this that just really showcase how much better and how much more special this show can be when you have the time to tell a full story, when you have a time to showcase everything that's going on. I don't feel like anything is being left out at this point. I feel like we're getting a
yeah.
good sense of
For this,
everything, and
yeah, really for these episodes, we get more from everybody. Besides, there's some people who are kind of
yeah.
purpled-ish, but
Mhm.
hopefully we get more from them
J
soon.
Maya.
I know, I want to see more from her. We're getting
Yeah.
bits and
My
pieces
winner
from
pick. What's going on?
yeah, her and Katura were my winner picks.
Yeah. We're getting a lot
But
from Katera. I'll say that.
overall, I think we're finally getting more from D, I think, so which
Yeah.
is good. So hopefully we get more from J Maya soon.
Yeah.
Um
For me, this was a top tier episode.
oh yeah. It was such a great one. I
Yeah.
literally gave it an A+ on my serialized.
Yeah, I really loved this episode a lot. I thought, like I said, they fleshed out everything very well. There's a specific point in this episode that I was alluding to where, I think if this was a 90-minute episode, we wouldn't have seen it, and I'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, all around, I think this was just such a fantastic episode. We had some really great moments,
Oh yeah.
some very unexpected developments I feel like happened
Yeah,
here, and I
it's
feel like
literally
this
insane.
season
That's so
is
good.
just so unprecedented in a way that we haven't seen in the other seasons that we've covered. I feel like especially at this point of the season, it's pretty obvious to tell who's going. This season's
Mhm.
really keeping us on our toes, and I think it's that much better because of it. So we're
Hell
just
yeah.
gonna we're going to dive headfirst into it right now. So, of course, we start off, with showing Lulu after voting Brandon out. Caleb talks about how he never second guessed his decision. Obviously, Brandon was going to make it really hard on all of them, which Emily agrees and says she can't imagine how tough that decision was. And Sabaya talks about how in the Marines, they have a concept, no man left behind, but she's starting to realize that doesn't really apply here. This team could not win with Brandon, so they
Mhm.
had to discard him. And Emily tells
Poor
them that
guy,
she
poor guy, but he was just not good at comps.
Yeah, I also just don't think he really fit on that tribe. I think we
Yeah.
especially see that in this episode.
I
He
feel
just
he'd fit maybe Bello.
well, I think Hannah quitting really ruined his chances because I think if she was there, I think they'd both still be there. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I think
I
Hannah
don't
was
know.
his chance of staying.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see him being on Bello. I could see him
Maybe,
with that tribe.
yeah, maybe. But basically, Emily tells him how she knows that could have gone either way. She doesn't have words to express how appreciative she is that she's still there, which let me just say, the fact that Emily is still here is insane to me. She seemed
Mhm.
you can literally watch back our live react for the first episode. It seems so obvious that she was going to be the first boot, and
Yeah.
she's still here, which is
Yeah,
insane.
literally, we thought originally she would be first boot, but
Yeah.
she's been like honestly killing it as a player. Like I'm
Mhm.
not the biggest fan of her yet. Like I'm not on Stan level, but like
No, I'm not either.
I don't hate her. Like she's definitely way better as a player so far.
Yeah, so Sabaya says she actually likes Emily for what it's worth. They butt heads, but because they're from two different places and they process things different, but she doesn't dislike her. So she doesn't feel like keeping Emily shot in the dark would serve her at all. And if Emily continues to prove herself worthy of trust, they can go forward as a four. I was surprised by this. I thought she was literally just going to
And
hang on to it. Like, I did
yeah,
not think she
me
would give it back
too.
to her. But
That was
she
like
gives,
that was like honestly like shocking, but it was pretty
yeah.
iconic.
Yeah, so she gives it back to her and says, trust return, which Emily says, trust return, trust build. And they don't build trust without a little bit of risk. So Emily says she's shocked that Sabayev gave it back to her, as am I. I was pretty taken aback by
Same.
that. But she says if they lose the next immunity challenge, that unless something crazy is happening, she is going to play her shot in the dark. She knows she needs it at this point. So
Yeah.
that's definitely going to be going on. Caleb tells them that there is a growth that's happening between all of them that he feels like that's there. And if it wasn't there, they may have stuck with Brandon because there's belief of the potential of the four of them working together. That's why it simply just made sense for them
Yeah.
to stick together. So
True.
Emily says the tribal council went relatively well. She was really confused because Jeff read her vote. She had voted for Brandon, a second vote, and then said Brandon's voted out. And according to her math, knowing that Brandon didn't have a vote, there should have been 4 total votes. So that makes her think that maybe there weren't 4 votes and that there were only 3 votes. And then Emily starts being Emily here.
Yeah.
She asked Sabaya if she
But
didn't vote.
this was like something I'm like, girl, chill.
Yeah, she tells them that Jeff read the votes and then said Brandon's evicted on the second vote, which means that there's only 3 votes in there. Sabaya tells her that she voted. Emily asks her why he called it after only 2. Sabaya tells her she didn't even notice it until she said it now. And Sabaya says that Emily is right. She obviously didn't vote because of her beware advantage. And she says that Emily's very smart. So she'll always be on her radar. And she flat out tells them that he only read 2. And Caleb is saying that this is like the island of misfit toys that he's living on.
Right.
Emily cracked again tonight. Jeff was reading out the votes, and there were only 2 that he read. She called out Sabaya, just immediately picking a fight with the one person she's not supposed to be picking a fight with. Old Emily is just bubbling right there underneath the surface, like she's not gone, but she's getting better and smarter. And with Emily, Emily is somebody who he thinks knows that she has a home with him, and he's going to be the most real with her out of anybody on the island. And I feel like if we weren't already convinced that like Caleb is basically like what keeps Emily from being Emily pretty much.
Honestly.
I feel like this scene very much showed that because anytime she like goes rogue, she's horrible. And this is like the best example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes me feel like people who are saying, "Oh, I think Emily's
Like
gonna get to the end," pump the brakes a little bit. I don't
Caleb's
know if
kind
she's gonna make
of
it.
yeah, Caleb's like the one who keeps her on her toes.
Well, he keeps her grounded. He keeps her
Yeah,
grounded.
keeps her
I
grounded
wouldn't say
for
keeps her
sure.
on her toes, more like keeps her grounded
Oh yeah.
from completely just like losing it. Because when
Mhm.
he's not doing that, I mean, she's a mess.
Yep. This is just why Caleb's so good as a player.
Yeah, he really is.
And we'll
So,
see more like later on.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
We'll discuss it more.
yeah. This
So,
is a very, very big episode for Caleb.
oh yeah. So
But
getting into
oh,
this.
I was gonna say here though, if this was a normal episode of Survivor, like let's say 40 minutes, they'd probably go right to the reward challenge here. We wouldn't see what we see next, but because again we have that extra time, we're actually able to see stuff from both Bello and Reba
Yeah,
before they
which is
do the
great.
reward challenge, and that was very refreshing, I felt like.
Oh yeah. So heading over to the Bello tribe, Jake is making a fire and he falls, which Kendra asks if he's okay. He's confused on what just happened. This was honestly like really scary to watch. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god. I was like, I hope he's okay.
Yeah,
Because
I was like, oh god, we gotta get another medevac.
he was like so out of it. It was I felt so bad
Yeah,
for
it was bad.
yeah. So Kendra says Jake kind of took a tumble and it looked like an almost small seizure. He got shaky for a minute, which was kind of weird, and then he popped right out of it. So it was really, really scary. Jake tells her it was the smoke and he feels fine. She tells him he kind of had a spasm. And then Jake says he was trying to blow on the embers to get the fire restarted and he started seeing stars. He felt his whole hand shaking and everything in his body was convulsing and he may have fell over. He doesn't really know, but it was a really scary moment. People can't understand from home. There's constant heat constant dehydration, lack of food, it's gonna take a toll on your body. Which honestly, like this moment, like this whole little segment here kind of gave me like a little soft spot for Jake.
Yeah, I agree. I think this showed his vulnerability in a way that
Yeah,
like and this is why I think segments like this are important. Like it shows it doesn't it portrays him as multifaceted. Like I think
yeah.
if this was like a regular 40-minute episode, I think Jake gets like the Machiavellian edit sort of,
Mhm.
where it's like he's just kind of portrayed as like the very like cocky guy. But here we see there actually
Oh, he's
are
not even,
like
like I don't even think he's like really cocky. I feel like he's just like maybe very confident.
yeah, I don't think he's cocky necessarily, but I could see the edit like portraying him that way. And I
Yeah.
feel like with like I
Until
said,
this until this. So this was kind of like important.
well, I feel like this is something they would have left out entirely if it wasn't for
Probably.
the longer episode. So I think this is honestly
Definitely.
very important.
It's very important, and it also like helped him and Kendra talk more. Kendra's
Yeah.
relationship kind of.
Yeah.
So Kendra tells him they're on Survivor, which he agrees and says it's the random moments and this is a once in a lifetime thing. She tells him that's what makes her scared and she's not going to play an emotional game, but she loves everyone there. She brings up they were talking and they're still nervous about him, Bruce, and Brando, and she thinks they're boys, which he says he's boys with everyone, and he feels like he's boys with her. So he asks her if she heard his name, which she says the only time it was mentioned was in the beginning when they found out he's a lawyer.
Yeah, and I like that she's honest with him here, saying like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you were the target initially, but now
Honestly,
you're
like
not." Like it's
Kendra's like very direct.
well, I think it's good to be honest with people and be like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt this way about you." That
Mhm.
way, there's no like underlying sort of tension there where it's like,
Exactly.
okay, but he doesn't know that I was targeting him. Like she has it out in the open, and they can just kind of move forward. And I think this was good for Jake, honestly, because I thought prior to this, Jake was fucked like on this tribe.
Same.
I don't think he is anymore. After
I
this
don't
episode, I don't
either.
think he is.
Yeah, like honestly, like after this was kind of like really good for him.
Yeah.
So
Obviously don't love people falling, but like
no, like not in that sense, but like it was
it's a
good for
blessing in
him.
disguise, you know?
Like it was good for him and Kendra's
Yeah,
relationship, something.
yeah.
But so Kendra says Jake having that moment this morning made her feel protective over him. They chatted for a bit, and she mentioned she threw his name out there because he's a lawyer and they're threatening in this game since they know how to talk to people since they're trained in that. She's not trained in anything. She's a wild creature out there, which honestly, like, I've been really liking Kendra. Like, she's honestly
Me too.
like, she like preseason, we didn't really have high expectations with her,
Yeah.
but honestly, she's not bad.
Yeah, I feel like she's probably the person that's like surprising us the most because I thought she was gonna be the sacrificial lamb of like the three girls, but I feel like the three girls are doing a good job of like playing
Yeah,
their own games to
yeah,
where people don't really see them as like a threatening trio. And I feel like
mhm,
it's really working out for them.
exactly. Like, there's Kely in the middle with Brando, and
Yeah.
then there's Katura and
Butting heads
Kendra.
with Bruce.
Yeah, it's so
Well, kind of
funny.
one side at this point. I don't think Bruce knows that like Katura's coming for him, but
I
yeah,
know. She does not trust him.
no.
So Kendra tells him her biggest thing is coming there with an open mind, and they haven't talked strategy, and this is their first time talking, which made her nervous. And Bruce hasn't talked to her at all, which he apologizes for. He brings up communication as a two-way street, and that it's on the both of them.
Indeed, indeed it is. Indeed it
Mhm.
is.
Yep. Kendra says there's kind of two groups right now. So the three women and the boys. Kendra tells Jake she feels good with him, which he says they're definitely drinking after this.
Okay,
That
but
was,
the one thing I'm
that was
confused about here is we literally just had a segment like the last episode where Brando was like, I'm not a guy's guy and things like that. So like how is he now working with the guys? Like what changed?
I don't know. We need to see some like secret scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it's I mean, who knows? Like maybe he is like playing the middle just like Helly.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that makes sense. But like I don't know, he made a point to say like the boys are not my priority, so I don't understand
True.
why Kelly thinks like well, I
Yeah,
mean, Kendra wasn't in on that conversation with Kendra and Katura, so that might be why, but yeah.
maybe that could have been why. So Kendra says she's changing her tune about Jake. She feels they would work so well together. They communicate well. He's easygoing. She's herself, and she feels like they balance each other out really well. So Jake could be a good ally. And that's all we
Yeah.
get from that part of
Yeah,
Bello.
obviously we get more a little later on, but we go to Reba here, and Reba at this point, I mean, again, I've said it before, Reba probably has like the least amount out of everyone. It's
Yeah,
really starting to make me think Reba is going to be the tribe that's like killed at merge, but we'll get
I
into
can see
that.
it.
So Sifu tells everyone he thinks in the total of 6 days they've had 300 calories, which Austin tells him that they found 2 earthworms for them to eat, which Julie opens the pot and says that there's no worms in there. Sifu asks if there's a crab in there, which, you know, they talk about that. And Austin says that even though he's starving, all he can think about is finding the immunity idol, but he hasn't had time to get out of camp alone. The last clue said dig at the fallen palm tree X, so now he's wondering where it is and what it's about. And at this point, only Drew knows, and they have a good idea as to where this location is. There's obviously a fallen palm tree that's right by camp with 2 palm trees next to it forming an X. So he's thinking to himself that that has to be it. So now they need to find the idol and get his vote back. So Austin tells Drew one of them could also stay watch, and they'll start talking about food or something, what they want the reward to be. And then he'll know that's his signal to come back, which Drew agrees with. And Drew tells him he's going to go a ways out and then stop. And Drew then says to find the idol in that spot is, so close to camp requires some killer instinct and requires entrepreneurship. So Austin digs first so he can start yelling about how much he loves tacos or whatnot. Austin will then run out too and says that he loves tacos. That would be their alibi, but he's very
That was
nervous.
funny.
I actually like this duo a lot. I think they're fun to watch.
I do too. They're pretty funny.
Yeah. Like, yes, it's a bro alliance that like we can't stand, but they're I don't know, they're fun to watch. I like their back and forth. So Dee then tells Julie that she was thinking last night about Austin and Drew and that they have something which Julie is shocked by. And Dee lets her know that she's noticed that they have been having a lot of one-on-one time together. And every time they're walking a tree mail and walking back, they whisper to each other. So Dee says that she has a great alliance with Julie right now. And then Julie, Austin, Drew, and herself have a fourth thing going on. But there's certain things that she's noticed about Drew and Austin, which makes her think that something is going on there. This really makes me think that like Dee is going to probably go rogue and like go against her alliance. I feel like
I think so too. Like I definitely think Dee, like once they go to tribal or something, like once she goes to tribal and like say she's with like Drew and Austin and whatnot.
if they go to tribal.
Yeah, I can see like her being like, no, let's flip. Because like, what if they try to go for Sifu or Draymond? She's like, nah, I'm gonna go for my alliance instead.
Well, I kind of see it as I think that when it comes to that tribe, I think what's gonna happen is like they're gonna get to, like I see it as like they get to merge. Dee is presented something where it's like we want to go after Drew and Austin, and she just goes for it. Like I think that she would absolutely be down to do that, and I think we see that.
I
here.
feel like she's kind of like an anyone but me thing.
I could see that, yeah, kind of like Sandra. So.
I mean, I will say I do think she's loyal to Julie, but
oh yeah, I think that's definitely
because they're
So
like
Dee and Julie, Dee and Julie then notice Drew digging. She asks if he's grabbing coconuts, and Dee says that in the peripheral of her vision, she sees Drew digging and digging, but he doesn't see her and Julie because his back is towards them. So then they decide to just keep walking and see how he reacts. And as they get closer, he gets up, walks away because she's sure that he was nervous. So, there's tension there. Drew then says that this is a very odd moment. He's digging in the dirt and they ask him what's up. He walked the wrong way. So that was bad. And he needs to kind of do some damage repair and regain control. And if you catch him with his pants down, he's got to give you something to make up for it. I kind of see it as like, I think Austin is going to be the one that's like sacrificed out of Drew and Austin. And then I think Drew's going to be the one to go far. Like that's kind of how I see it right now. Because I feel like Drew has.
I could see Drew being like a Carson.
Yeah, I feel like Drew has this edit right now where like I'm the brains, I know what's going on, and I feel like they're not going to give him that edit if he doesn't.
I don't know why, but I kind of see Austin getting like idled out.
Yeah, I think that's with his. Oh my god, yeah, I could tell, and he doesn't like play his. Yeah, I could see that. So. Yeah, Austin says that he was. Well, we know he's like close to getting it. So.
True.
Austin says he was on watch, grabbing coconuts to make it look like they're doing stuff for their tribe. The next thing he knows is that he comes back and Dee and Julie are there, and his heart obviously just drops. So Drew then lets Austin know they walked on him digging, and he tells him he told Dee and Julie that they found Sifu. Austin is like feeling really awkward. He doesn't know what's going to happen. So Dee then tells them her and Julie just wanted to find them because they noticed that they've been taking walks and they want to be honest and to come together, whether they have something or not. So they respect it, but they want to make sure that they're force drawn. And Austin then tells them that they are force drawn and lets them know that they're trying to find the idol and they don't have it. And he tells them that they want to get it before Sifu does, which, like,
Honestly, like, I
okay,
feel like if those three, though, or this tribe went to tribal, Sifu would probably go first.
maybe. I mean, I feel like Sifu is just like not on the show at this point. Like, we
Yeah,
just don't see him
like,
enough.
because like,
So
since they said they want to get the idol before Sifu does, it seems like they want to target him first.
yeah. So Dee says right now she's just trusting her intuition. Her intuition tells her that something was off between the two of them. So Austin tells him that this is the four that can take them all the way. Dee says that Drew is just uneasy, and there's like a worried face in Austin's face, like something's going on. Dee then tells Julie that she's unsure if they're really force drawn and they caught him, why he would walk away all nervous, which Julie tells her that she's right. And Dee talks about how this is a game of dishonesty, but she thought that they were working together. And it kind of felt like a boyfriend was cheating on her and she caught him cheating. So it's game on. And so, yeah, Dee is really out for
He was kind
Drew and Austin
of,
right now.
honestly, I was kind of here for D this episode.
I was too. I'm very much kind of into the narrative of like her splitting up Drew and Austin, especially.
She
Especially,
definitely,
I know it's a different show, but especially with what we're seeing with Matt and Jag right now on Big Brother 25, you got to kill that bro duo like before it becomes something. So, like,
oh yeah,
I'm very much here for
because
that.
bro duos are dangerous.
Yes, they're also
But yeah,
perpetually boring. But yes,
I also see D being like a dark horse.
yes, I could see that for sure. But yeah,
All
that's
right.
everything going on with Reba before we get to the reward challenge. And with that
Right.
said, Allie's going to talk about the reward challenge.
All right. So for today's challenge, they're going to start in the ocean and race to the beach, where one at a time, each player will toss a ball into an overhead track and then try to catch it at the other end. Once all four players have achieved this, they'll take one of those balls, throw it in a basket, and that will raise a series of targets. Two players will then race to land 3 rings on their target, and the first 2 tribes to land all 3 rings wins reward. I was actually pretty excited there was a reward challenge this one.
Yeah, this early on, they usually do like episode 4. They did it one episode
Yeah.
early, and we know why now. We'll get into why at the end, but
True.
yeah.
So the first tribe to finish should have a nice afternoon back at camp. They will also receive a large fruit platter.
Which is
And then
good
the
for
second,
Lulu because they haven't eaten shit.
I know. Spoilers. Second tribe to finish, will get a smaller fruit platter, but still appetizing. In addition, the winning tribe earns the right to send one person to either of the 2 other tribes for a camp raid, where they will get to steal one item, and in a game in which there is very little to steal, they can inflict some punishment. They can also visit and see the tribe dynamics, so there's a lot at stake. Which was honestly pretty spicy. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So Bruce and Jake sit out for Bello, and J Maya and Drew sit out for Reba.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say they did do this in 43, and I liked it a lot then. But I think I liked it even more the way they did it now because we kind of saw like the opposite of what happened in 43 happen this time around, and I'll talk about that when we get there.
All right. So after a very tight race, Lulu finally gets their first win. So they'll be receiving a big fruit plate and a camp raid, and Reba comes in second and will receive a smaller fruit plate. Which I'm very happy Lulu actually got a win finally, because they need something. They haven't had fire, they haven't had food, like, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so bad for them. So Sabaya tells
this
everyone.
is really good for Lulu for sure because like they've been very much down for the count since the beginning. It proves that like they actually are an effective tribe, and maybe they were right to vote out Brandon because immediately, I mean, they're doing a lot better. So
Oh yeah, definitely. So Sabaya tells everyone there's nothing that feels better than this. She knows everybody's hungry and everybody wants to be there, but they are literally starving in the jungle. So if that's not motivation for them to get after it, she doesn't know what is.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and then this part is very crucial for the episode.
Yeah.
Caleb wants to be the ambassador, which Emily says he's probably the most social player amongst the 4 of them, and he's probably the one person they can all agree on is perfect for this type of job. Which I'm like, Caleb killed it there.
Oh, he did. I think he appointed himself to this position, and he does exactly what you should do with a camp raid. Because basically,
fantastic.
Yeah, because if you remember in 43, Cody did this. They thought Cody would be a good way of like kind of like scaring them off and things like
Mhm.
that. Caleb takes a much different approach this
Yep.
time around, and I really like the way this played out because he sees
Yeah.
this little script on the boat, which reads that in addition to stealing one item from the tribe, he's also going to have an opportunity to forge a secret relationship with another player, and he must give this goodwill advantage to one player. This advantage allows them to restore one lost vote. I love this advantage, let me
I
just
do
say.
too. It's like because it just brings their vote back, which is very important and
Yeah,
crucial.
voting is such an essential part of Survivor, and I feel like stripping it away, it makes it a lot less interesting. Like I
Yeah.
don't want tribal councils where there's just like 2 or 3 votes. That's not
Yeah.
interesting. Where
Same.
there's like 6 or 7 votes to like really kind of spice things up, that's exciting to me. So I
Oh,
like
yeah.
the fact that there's this advantage is like out in the ether. I just wish that there was a way to get this on like every tribe because
Mhm. Definitely.
but with that said, I really like the way this camp raid played out. Basically, he
Me
says that
too.
this advantage means if somebody loses their vote, they get to retain it. So not only is he coming to the tribe trying to make a friend, but he's also going to have a gift to be able to give them. So over on Reba, everyone's enjoying their fruit platter. Julie's very stressed over what could happen, the fact that he could come in at any point. And then over on Bello, we see Kely is telling everyone that Lulu could go to Reba and weaken them, or they could come over there and try to make bonds. Jake asks what they're going to do, such as come out there and take their spear, which they can take Reba's. Um, Kendra then says that if Lulu comes over there, she will lose her mind.
Kendra, honestly, Kendra saying that is not shocking. She's funny.
Well, I also will say the way I really like the way they edited this because they didn't really
So,
show you like which tribe it's going to be. I like that they showed both,
yeah,
kind of making you think that it was
I
going to be
love it.
Bello, but it actually ends up being Reba that Caleb
Yep.
arrives at. He meets
Mhm.
everyone, tells them that he's a hugger, and like I said, in 43, when Cody raided the island, he kind of did it as like he was like an intruder, like
Yeah,
I'm here to take your stuff, like very much
right?
had this like villain type persona. Caleb approaches them like he's a friend, and
He
it's like kind of
does.
crazy how well he's able to ingratiate himself here.
Oh, hell yeah, it was fantastic.
Because Drew knew that it would be Caleb because he can tell he's running his tribe front to back. He's charismatic, he's persuasive, and he's a salesman. So he knew he would be the person they send to kind of schmooze them, sell them whatever he sells, and take all their stuff in the process. So he chats with everyone a bit, and he mentions that he's from Canada and asks what they do for work. Sifu and J Maya do a little riff since they're both in the music industry.
Oh, I like it. That was fun. That was
Yeah,
cute.
I thought that was good too. It's like a good way of getting to bond with everyone. So
I
he says
know.
that in sales, when everyone's having a good time, they tend to let their guard down a little bit more, which gives more opportunity to be able to capitalize. And
Yes.
Drew then asks what brings him there, which Caleb says that it's a raid. They thought it just made sense to grab the fishing gear if that's all right, so it has the entire set. But they would leave behind the sphere, and he tells them it's not about trying to absolutely pillar them, which again, the opposite of what Cody did. He just took all their stuff from Armor. He didn't give a fuck.
I
But
know.
Caleb says that throughout the entire time of meeting them and getting the pleasantries out of the way, all he's thinking to himself is how can he put this goodwill advantage to use?
Honestly, like,
And
Caleb is just such a nice guy.
yeah, I mean, I think that's why this plays out much differently than the last time we saw the camp raid. Like Caleb
Oh,
just
yeah.
has this very like this likability and this charisma to him, and he's very able to like win people over. And it's kind of crazy how well he was able to ingratiate himself. Like he was a part of this tribe pretty much. So he mentions to them about meeting with some of them individually and having a little bit more genuine sense. It's hard to kind of talk to everybody. So he questions what information he can gather to make a decision. And Sifu tells Caleb he was looking out for him, which he's looking out for him too. And Caleb asks how he feels about everyone going. He then tells Z that she has great eyes, tells J Maya he likes the way she talks about the game. So he's doing such a good job of just
Oh,
making
so
everyone
good.
feel like, well, very welcoming in that way. Like there's something about
He
everyone
does.
that he connects with here, which is so good considering what's going to happen in the next episode. Which
I
again, we'll get into
know.
that. Like Caleb just did so good here, I thought.
Mhm.
Um,
Also,
so Julie says,
don't forget he likes, when he mentioned that, J. Maya comes off focus and a lot of clarity too.
I just said that, yeah.
Oh,
Um, Yeah,
Sorry,
I read that.
Kely.
So
I didn't hear that part.
So Julie says that Caleb comes in peace, says they know how that they have to do this, but he's definitely a player. Julie tells them that Caleb is a salesman and a player. Julie says when it comes down to it, the thing he wanted was information, which was so smart. And Caleb then asks Drew how the journey went and if he lost his vote. And he says no, and that he has the safety without power. And Caleb says that Drew telling him he went to the journey and got an advantage means that he's a player in the game, which he likes. And I like that he was, not threatened by this. He was like, "Oh, this is someone I can scoop up. This is somebody that I
Yeah,
could work with." So
well, it was great.
he correctly points out that, Drew's kind of like the figurehead of this tribe, and he tells him that he got an advantage to give somebody on the tribe. He tells him about the goodwill advantage, which if somebody has lost their vote, it allows them to at least have the chance to vote anyways and use it to counteract that. He tells him that he'd like to give it to him and start building trust. He doesn't think people really see them working together quickly, which Drew agrees with, and Caleb tells them that he thinks that he's there to play. And Drew says that Caleb gives him this beautiful piece of paper right off the bat, goodwill. He likes him. He's trying to help him. He tells him right away that with this advantage, they can vote at one tribal. He says that this is an excellent advantage, not for him, but for Austin, who obviously
Yes,
doesn't have a vote. And Caleb then tells everyone he's had really good conversations with everybody. He feels like if there's a swap, he'll let his tribe know that he really feels good about them as well. And Caleb talks about how today was a really good day. He was very ecstatic about how this raid went. He thinks not only did he maximize the supplies, he maximized the absolute most amount of information that he could have gathered. And yeah, I mean, I'm just
so
really
good.
impressed by the way Caleb handled this. I think
He
he
literally, like,
easily.
he handled it so well, especially being a salesman, so he knows how to talk to people, but, like, he was, like, amazing. Like, he didn't go there just to, like, steal things. He went there to make connections.
Yeah, that's what was that, and that's the next level of gameplay that I feel like that only certain players can achieve when it
Yeah.
comes to this kind of twist. Like I said, in 43, Cody's just there to take their stuff. Like he's not there to really connect with them or anything. He's
Yeah.
just there to be and he's just there to antagonize them. Like that's
Yep.
that's literally why they sent him there because they wanted him to antagonize them and things
Mhm.
like that. This time
Like,
around, Caleb's like
Caleb's a force to be reckoned with in the game.
Well, I think the thing is he also recognized the vibe of this tribe. They're very chill. They all
Mhm.
kind of trust each other. He recognized that, oh my God, this could be really good for me. I'm kind of down in numbers at Lulu. There's only 4 of us left. This is my opportunity to like really get close to someone else, really make connections. And so I kind of feel like even though yes, Caleb is at a deficit right now with 4. I think if he gets to the merge, I think this is the tribe he's going to work with. I don't think he's going to work with like Sean, for example. I think he's going to work. I think he'll definitely work with Emily, but I could also see a scenario where he pivots to Reba because he's much closer with them now. They
I can see it.
absolutely, and they embraced it. That's the thing. They didn't like say, oh, why is Caleb like getting in the way? No, they embraced it wholeheartedly. They wanted him back when he left. So, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I
It
think
was
all
iconic.
around this was just so great. I think he really just put himself in that much better of a position. And to me,
Mhm.
like Caleb's one of the front runners to win this game at this point.
Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
don't think they make such a big deal out of this on the episode and not have that be the case. I think he's definitely making a deep run.
Oh, yeah, if he gets to the end, he's probably winning, like, unanimously.
Yeah, and let's say D doesn't successfully split up like Drew and Austin. I think Caleb becomes their third at that point. I think he
Ooh, I can see that, definitely.
and if Austin goes, I think Drew goes to Caleb. I think Caleb is the person that he'll trust the most after that. So
That'd be crazy.
yeah, so all around, just really great play by Caleb. He
Oh,
really killed it here.
that was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It was such a great twist.
Well, I mean, we've
Like,
seen this twist before, but I think it was
it was
yeah.
handled better this season.
Well, I don't think it was handled badly in 43. I think we just saw a different way to handle it this time around.
Yeah, definitely. So Reba, um, so continuing with Reba, Drew tells his alliance Caleb gave him something, so he shares what the advantage is with them. Drew says the plan is definitely to tell Julie and Dee about the goodwill advantage because they didn't tell Dee about the idol and she was a little fussy about it. So she thought they were keeping things from her and she was suspicious. So right away, when he got this advantage, he tells the truth. And Austin says this advantage is music to his ears. He doesn't have a vote, so for him, this is exactly what he needs. Hopefully not
Mhm.
anytime soon, but hopefully not anytime soon. But it's always nice to have one little piece of protection if the idol isn't found. And
Yeah, I
then
mean, I think this is great for Austin. I think we're gonna see this come out at the merge. I think that's when we're
yeah,
gonna see this because I generally think that that tribe is not gonna go to tribal for a very long time.
I don't
So
think so either. So Kevin's gonna continue Lulu.
yes. So over on Lulu, we see Sabaya, Sean, and Emily are enjoying their fruit platter. Sean says that they are no longer the Lulu losers. They have been down and out and defeated multiple times over and over. And to finally win feels super great. And this is like what we want to see in Survivor. Like seeing one tribe be at the bottom, rise their way up to the
Yes.
top was just very fulfilling to watch. And it gives
Oh
us
yeah.
more of a reason to like root for them.
Very
I know people
endearing.
like to call them like Delulu and things like that, but they are very much not. So
Yeah.
they discuss the challenge a bit, and Emily tells them that they're going to go into that immunity challenge tomorrow and crush it. Sean talks about how basically Sean talks about how they are no longer, oh, I just read that. So Sean says that Emily really made a shift in her energy and her conversations and her demeanor, and now that she's a little more calm and not as chaotic, this is the Emily that he can work with. They have the right ingredients to win now. So yeah, everyone's feeling better with Emily at this point.
Yes.
Sean then tells Sabaya that he means it when he says he's with her, which she says she really doesn't care about anyone else, which makes them both laugh. She tells him that she's acting like she does. So Sabaya says that her, Caleb, and Sean have been together from the beginning. She loves Caleb. He's a great guy, but she knows she doesn't want to sit with him at the end, which I mean, after what just happened, why would you? Um,
Honestly.
so definitely like the correct read for sure. So Sabaya tells Sean that Caleb
Oh yeah.
is a great guy. He's very likable. He's a very eloquent speaker, and asked him if he saw the challenge today. And basically, Sean says that he killed it, and Sabaya talks about how she wonders if it's better for them to get an obvious threat out first. She tells him that it's very early, but doing it now, they wouldn't have to rely on other people, that they don't really know how to vote for him. It would just be their discussion. So Sabaya says she'd love not to go back to
Decision,
tribal
not
council, but if they have
decision, not it's decision, not discussion.
no, it'll be their decision. So if they have to go, Caleb's a beast. He's the biggest threat on the beach, and she still doesn't have her vote. So it's very, very important to get Emily to vote out Caleb. And I think this is just the perfect example of just getting to someone too late. I mean, Caleb got to Emily first, and unfortunately, Sabaya is not able to scoop her up here. So she tries to let Emily know that her and Sean both kind of agree that none of them want to sit with Caleb at the end, which Emily does agree with. And Emily tells them because she's aware of the fact that it's a strong situation, she goes home if they lose. She's open to anything. So she lets them know if they tell her who to vote, she will vote for that person. And Sabaya tells her that they have this new trust thing going on with her, and it's got to be Caleb. So Emily says her jaw pretty much just drops at that point. She's
Yeah.
shocked because she's seen those three as a power three for a while. There's a lot of situations that are running around her head right now. On one hand, she has Caleb, who has really been kind to her since the first tribal council, and he's come to her and said he wants to work with her. But at the same time, he's a very social player, and in a way, her and Sean aren't. So Sabaya's social, but not to the extent that Caleb is. Caleb is very much running the social game around her at Lulu. So Caleb returns to camp, tells them that Reba talks about how much they love Lulu, so he thinks there's some opportunity to really work with them. And I feel like when Caleb's talking about this, he really just means there's opportunity for me to work with them. I don't think he
Yeah.
cares if Emily and Sean work with them. I think he's
No,
talking about himself.
he's just trying to tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah, I think he's mainly talking about himself. He's like, yeah, they want me to work with them. And if Caleb said this to me, I would be like very threatened. I would be like, oh God, Caleb's got to go. He's
Oh
bonded
yeah.
very well with Reba. So
Oh yeah.
Emily says she doesn't think Caleb is quite aware that there have been conversations around what a threat he is socially, and it seems to her that he's lacking little bit of the perspective of what these social connections have made him. So Caleb is a huge threat at this point.
Oh
Definitely
yeah.
someone to watch out for.
Oh yeah. He's definitely like, ugh, oh my god, like he's probably going far, but like people don't want, but like someone like a Sabaya and such don't want to take him far.
I could see him being someone that's like targeted a lot, but honestly, like here's the thing. That literally was Jam Jam last season. He was targeted so much and he literally won the game. So
Mhm.
even someone saying like, "Oh, we're going to target this person," that doesn't tell me they're not winning the game because it literally happened with Jam Jam last season. I
Yeah.
could see being the case with Caleb. Like they try to
I
get him
can see
out,
it
and
too.
it's just impossible.
I can definitely see that.
So
So
anyway, Allie's going to talk about what I think honestly has probably become my favorite tribe to watch in Bello,
oh
and
my
go
god,
right ahead.
yes. It's so good. All right. So Jake says today the boys took the raft out and they were out there having a great time. They were out there trying to provide for the tribe. There's nothing like it and it's going to another world. It's just him, the fish, the coral, and he's the king down there. There's nothing bigger than him down there, so he's the boss. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Kendra lets Katara and Kely know that her and Jake had a small talk finally, and then
And it's a
Kely tells
very crucial scene because it's like
oh,
we're seeing all three of the girls together. So
oh, it's so good. Kely tells them it makes her feel a lot better about Jake. And then Kely says she thinks the looming threat of tribal council is on everyone's mind and it's been on everyone's mind, especially after losing a challenge. So the boys decide to take the raft out and she's back behind with the girls. So they have an opportunity to talk pretty freely while they're out on the water.
yeah.
So Kendra tells them she feels Jake is not an option at this point, which Kely says he's not as much of a threat as maybe they would think a lawyer would be. And Katara tells them she'd rather keep Jake over Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, again, just Bruce lives run free in Katura's head at this point. If Bruce
Oh,
is on the tribe, she's gonna try to take him
I
out.
am here for this rivalry. It's so funny.
Well, at this point, like I don't even think Bruce realizes like how much she's targeting him. So like I
Yeah,
love just how one sided it is so far.
I know. Katura says Bruce is annoying and she gets the vibe that her tribe loves him. So any slight thing they say about him in negative ways, she wants to validate, highlight, emphasize, repeat over and over again in order to make sure they feel comfortable voting him out.
Yep.
Katura asks them if they think it's a good idea to get Bruce, and Kendra says he's a dangerous player as far as Burge goes because people are either going to love him or hate him. And Katura tells them Jeff said play it like it's your second time, and for Bruce, it is his second time.
And I feel like this subtle stuff that Katura is doing is honestly really good. It's a good
Yeah,
way of like making sure your target goes. And I do feel like she's gonna get Bruce out. Like I'm just feeling like that's gonna happen,
I can see it.
and he's not gonna see it coming.
Yeah, we'll see. So Kely says Katura wants to target Bruce, but Brando is her number one, so she knows she needs to talk to him.
Yep.
Honestly, like I can low key see like Kely kind of flipping too, just because for like Brando.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think her and Brando are well positioned to where they can kind of go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So Kely talks to Brando and says she's in the middle with him. Kely says they're right in the middle because on one side they have the boys and on one side they have the girls, so they're in the hot seat.
hmm
Kely tells them if they win again tomorrow, the longer they go, the less she's worried about losing Bruce. Kely wants them to debate and to make sure they make the right decision. And then Brando tells her he has a hard time reading Katura, and which Kely says she's a little scary. And then Kely says when she casts that vote, the line is drawn in the sand and she will piss off some people.
yeah.
Kely was
Kelly, I
honestly,
could see.
I like Kely a lot. Like I think she's gonna be very fun to watch.
Yeah, she's very fluid. I think that definitely there is a scenario where she tries to go for Katara here and it doesn't work out.
I can
But
see it.
I feel like those three are not going to turn each other like that soon. Like they've talked about how like the three girls are not turning on each other, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's going to remain to be the case. But it is going to be fun to see if they ever do go to tribal.
Oh,
So yeah,
definitely.
we'll
I'm hyped.
definitely something to re-explore. So anyway, let's talk about Reba here before we get into the immunity challenge for the episode.
All right.
So Austin talks to his alliance that last night they were crabbing hunting and they found a beware advantage. And the first thing that came out was a clue, which was that there are multiple tasks that have to be solved, such as the first one, which was to decode that message. So we got the piece of paper. We already know all about this.
Mhm.
He tells them what it said. And Austin says that him and Drew want to continue to build strong trust. So he came 80% clean. He told Dee and Julie that he found the beware advantage, but what he lied about was when he found it. And I feel like this was a good lie that he did
It
this, made it
was.
seem like he just got it rather than had it initially. Because, you know,
Yeah,
obviously he knows that these two are, you know, kind of, I don't think he knows they're on to him, but I think he knows that like he has to be kind of careful with this. So
definitely.
Drew tells them the only reason he told them they were looking where Sifu was because it was his thing. So Dee says that she doesn't think that they would have told them that they had not caught Drew, but regardless, the moment they found out he did find a beware advantage, he was looking for an idol. Her and Julie decided they're going to work together and help find the idol. So they dig around searching, and Austin talks about how right now the plan is that one person babysits Sifu and J Maya while the rest of them are going to start looking. And if they can pull something like that off and have three people digging, they might be able to find this sooner rather than later, and he needs this badly. And Drew says that they cannot find the idol. He's ready to give up. Dee finds a rope there, and Dee says that she sees a rope under the palm tree, and she's unsure why it's under the soil. She's hoping that this is it, and it will change the entire game right now. So they continue digging the area and find a hammer, which reads to break a rock near the water well. So Julie tells her the rope looks obvious and that the boys will know, so they hide it. And Dee says that they're freaking out, going crazy. They threw the rope away where they know nobody would go grab it. And at the exact moment, J Maya is walking towards them. And her and Julie get into an unspoken agreement and got to put their best acting faces on. So Dee tells the girls where she's going to look and asks if they want to spread out. Julie says she doesn't want J Maya to be suspicious, but right now she's got to get this hammer to Austin ASAP. So Austin says that Julie hands him a hammer that says break a rock near a water well. And at this point, his heart is racing. It's in his head. He's never going to get past this stage of digging. And the fact they got past it was exhausting and tired. All of a sudden, he had all the energy in the world. So he breaks a rock. They find a paper and it says he got the immunity idol. So yeah, it seems like he has it
What?
at this point. And he says as soon as he read that sentence, he hugged Drew. They start jumping and cheering. He has his vote back. They have an idol. It's the greatest moment of all time. And when he's reading the paper, it's a lot of text, and he immediately gets slapped in the face with the idol is only good for one tribal council. So they are really making them work this season.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of this twist?
Oh, I think it's pretty spicy. Like, I like that they're making them work for it because, like, we don't want people to just find like the idols so quickly and easily. We want
Yeah.
them to like, we want it to be a risk. We want it to be a challenge.
Yeah, I like that it's harder to get an idol. With it only being for one tribal council, I feel like that's a little. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I kind of need to see it play out because my concern is that, like, what if they don't need that idol? Like, that's the thing. Like, they don't necessarily. But I understand. Like, it's a risk. Like, you only have the idol for one challenge and things like that. Do you play it then, or do you just discard it? Like, it's definitely more riskier that way, but I also feel like holding on to your idol is way more interesting to me than just having to play it immediately, which is basically what you are forcing them to do, pretty much giving that, making sure they don't have a safety net at the merge. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. So he reads the text to Drew, and if he sacrifices vote as tribal council, the power of the idol will extend until all players are on the same beach together. And if he's willing to sacrifice second vote, he'll gain even more power. So the last time he can use his idol is when there are 5 players left in the game. And this I love. It creates this
Oh, so
great
good.
dilemma where it's like, okay, I can not vote, and I'll still have the idol, or I can vote now and then I have to play my idol right now. Like it's kind of like a lose-lose either way. And I like that a lot because it creates this sense of suspense that usually isn't there when playing an idol. I think usually the fear when playing an idol is, am I going to need it? But now it's, should I play this idol and sacrifice not having my vote? Or should I hold on to the idol but still not be able to vote?
Definitely. Like,
So
oh, it's great.
yeah, yeah, it's a really good addition. I feel like
Oh,
so
yeah. I
they,
think so.
they've done some weird things with the idols, but this I like. This is definitely
Yeah,
like
I
very
agree. Oh, I
suspenseful.
agree. Like,
So,
there's some things I'm like, oh, why is this here and why is this a thing? But then this is
yeah.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll take this over saying this stupid phrase any day. So
Oh no, not
Austin
the
tells
brain.
Drew that nobody's going to believe it, which Drew says the mechanics of this are very complicated. And Drew talks about the idol is new because it's conditional. It has a very short lifespan, but you can extend that lifespan. You can buy some healthcare. If you sacrifice your vote, the first tribal council, you are after the merge and can live a little longer. And if you sacrifice your vote that second time, all the way to the end, all the way to the final 5, it's as good as a legitimate, real, tried and true idol. So Austin shows the idol to Dee and Julie. Dee says that her and Julie didn't really need to give the hammer away. They could have gone to the water well by themselves, smash it, and kept the idol for themselves. But at this point, good alliances are going to get her further in the game. Do
I
you
will
think this was a
say,
mistake with
I
them
will
not?
say,
holding
I
on
mean,
to the idol.
I will say I would have been kind of here for them to keep it. Just like I kind of wanted
Yeah,
to see like Dee get it because it'd be kind of
yeah,
iconic. But like, I mean, yeah, she just wants to like stay loyal to the alliance for now. But I think
yeah.
deep down she's like, yeah, I can't work with them long term. But I mean, it would have been
Mhm.
interesting if she kept it.
Yeah, so Austin tells them they all seriously saved him, so it's shared. Dee says it also solidified the four of them. Now they know that there's trust before they felt it, but now they can prove it. And we'll see if they get to prove it, considering
Yeah.
what's going to happen in the next episode. So,
All right.
with that said, that's everything before the immunity. Let's talk about the immunity.
Okay, so for today's challenge, they're going to race out with a cart and release two keys. Those keys will release very heavy puzzle pieces that they're going to put in their cart, and then they're going to take their cart apart, get it through a barricade, and reassemble it. Once they reach the end, one person will be the collar, the eyes, and the rest of the group will work together to solve a massive cube puzzle. First two tribes to finish win immunity, safe from the vote. Losers will
Oh, you
attend.
don't have to read that part. We know that.
Yeah,
But yeah, Lulu
but I
still
will.
hasn't had their flint,
Yeah. Lulu still hasn't had Flint 7 days in, which I
which
feel
is
so bad for them.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
insane. And then Julie and Dee sit out for Reba, and Brando and Kely sit out for Bella, which are two duos, which is kind of
yeah.
funny. So in a very
That
tight
is
race,
actually really funny. I
oh,
didn't even think about that.
I think it's hilarious when I saw that, and when I wrote it, the notes. So in a very tight race, Reba wins immunity, followed by Bella, which means Lulu will once again attend tribal council.
Yeah, so even though they have a win, they have yet another loss in the
Yep.
immunity challenge. So can't quite come back
Like they at
in
least
this
had some
episode.
food, but they don't get their Flint.
I think at this point, it's less of like how much of a shit show Lulu is, and more just like Reba and Bello are so incredibly strong. There's just no
Yeah,
beating them.
exactly.
Like I
Like
think
they're
it's
just like,
more so that, to be honest with you. I don't even
yeah,
think it's that Lulu is like a terrible tribe. I
they're
think it's
just like
just that
really
Reba and
strong.
Bello are so good.
Yeah, Reba and Bella are just really strong players and they're good at comps.
Yeah.
So Jeff tells Emily they have this great victory. They win the reward, but out there when it really matters, when their life is on the line, another loss, and he asks her what's the feeling right now before they get to the strategy. Emily tells him it's the worst feeling and she goes through her stages of grief differently. She's not sad right now, she's angry. She's frustrated because she just watched Bello and Reba celebrate their victory because they have no clue what it's like. She also tells him they have no clue what it's like to get to know people this deeply and then go and send them home because someone's heart's breaking tonight and none of them want that to happen, but it's going to.
Hmm.
So Emily says Lulu just cannot win. She's exhausted, she's hungry, she's destroyed from that immunity challenge, but she has gotten hints from Sabaya and Sean that maybe they're interested in flipping the vote on Caleb. However, realistically, she knows she's at the bottom of this tribe and they can take the easy vote and send her home in this at this tribal council. So she's anxious, she's shaking, and she's honestly afraid.
Yeah, and I mean that's a definitely valid concern because she absolutely could have gone here. But with
Yeah.
that said, let's talk about the deliberation before the challenge because it wasn't quite what we
You mean
were
before the
expecting.
tribal?
Yeah, what did I say? Before the challenge, before the tribal is what I meant. Um, so Caleb says that that was a huge fail. Deep in his gut, he feels that the only reason Lulu won the reward was so they can have the inevitable fall that they always have coming into the immunity challenge and losing once again. And once again, going back to tribal council, they're going to be moving down to three people while everybody else has full teams. It's crazy. And he can't believe that this is happening.
Mhm.
So Sabaya tells them that they have to go to tribal again. And Emily tells them that nobody imagines this is what their survivor journey is going to look like, which Sean does agree with. So Caleb talks about how Sean and Sabaya are going to go after Emily. As much as he wants to work with Emily, he doesn't think that he can save her. And so it may be smart to try and work with Sean and Sabaya, be able to try and make it to the next stage of the game. And it seemed like that's what was going to happen. Like, okay, Emily's going to go here. That's,
Yep.
probably the most obvious move. But Caleb talks about the way, tells Sabaya that the way he sees it, all their votes on Emily, which Sabaya agrees with. And he tells her if she does play her shot in the dark, she says she can make it seem like they're voting him. She tells him what if they say that they can't win with Caleb and that they don't have to worry about a shot in the dark, which he says that she's going to ask him who to vote for and asks what he'll say to her. Sabaya tells him to tell Emily her name and that he tells her Sabaya's name and Sabaya tells her Caleb's name. But they got to be real careful and got to think and make sure their stories are straight. What Caleb doesn't realize is Sabaya is throwing him under the bus as she's
Yep.
talking about this.
Oh yeah.
Um, So she talks about that. It's got to be Caleb tonight. She's letting him believe that he's running the show tonight because of the character like him. You've really got to do it carefully. And if he even smells that her or Sean feel a different way, he could vote for her. She doesn't have a vote. He could tell Emily to vote for her. I think she plays this as best as she can. She
Oh,
makes
she
it seem
does.
like Emily's going to go and that he will go, like he could potentially go on like a revote and things like that. I think this was a good play by Sotobai. I think she handled this well.
Oh, yeah. I
So
think she did really well for, like, what she was able to do, like, she was
yeah,
really
especially
playing.
not having a vote. Like I think she played the
Mhm.
way she needed to here.
Oh,
So
definitely, she, like, killed it
she
there.
yeah, so she tells Caleb she's gonna put her idol in the fire as soon as they walk in. She's dropping it in because she needs the most time to let all of the wax melt, so they should try to drag this tribal out. And Sabaya says that she plans to drop the idol in the flames in the middle of tribal council tonight, like she just told Caleb. So she tells Emily that it's going to be Caleb tonight. So she asks if that's still the plan. Sabaya then shows her the Beware advantage that Brandon found on day 3 and gave to her. And she tells her that the only problem, of course, is that it's a wax. So she's got to
Mhm.
burn a tribal. And Emily lets her know she has to have flint to melt it and asks what's in it, which she says it's an idol. And she tells her that as soon as they walk in a tribal, she's going to throw it in and Jeff's going to see that. So Sabaya says that Emily feels like she's on the bottom. She feels like she's on the bottom because she knows there's information and she's been left out of the loop. So she's telling Emily she has an idol to cement the trust of their 3 because she wants it to be Caleb tonight.
Yeah.
So she tells her that this might be the only chance to get him out, which Emily does agree with. And the problem, of course, is, the fact that Emily is so close to Caleb at this point. And so
She's
she talks
like,
about here
"Ugh." She's very hesitant here.
yeah, so she talks about how Sabaya pulling out a wax immunity idol makes her think that she hasn't been honest and truthful with her, whereas Caleb has actually been willing to work with her. So she needs to do everything in her power to keep him there. But Caleb doesn't realize it's him. He thinks it's her, and he's still playing with these guys. And unless she tells Caleb that unless he writes Sabaya's name down tonight, he is the one going home. And Emily then does something that I did not think that she was fully capable of. I
Yeah.
did not think that she would handle this as well as she did,
Yeah,
but
this was
generally,
awesome.
I
Like,
was
this
very
was
impressed by this
oh,
play.
this was so impressive, like, I'm glad I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god." Like, obviously, love Sabaya, but, like, this is such a great move for her.
Yeah. So she talks to Caleb that before they go to tribal, she knows it's very late, but there's one thing she feels like she didn't clarify with him. She tells him that it's not her and she knows it. She's 100% positive they're writing his name down tonight, and she needs him to write Sabaya's name because she is as well. She lets him know that this isn't like she's trying to save her ass. This is Emily trying to save his. So she asks him whose name he's right, which we've seen that clip pretty much everywhere since this episode has aired, but it's such a good it's just such a good play of being like, listen, I'm not trying to save myself. I'm trying to save you at this point. And also, it
Yep.
really like prioritizes their connection. Like if Caleb had any hesitance about Emily's like trust, I mean, this fully wins him over. Like this is
Oh,
so good
definitely.
all around.
Like, I can feel like I feel like he's gonna be, like, really appreciative of her after this.
Yeah, he's got to be like he's indebted to her at this point because Sabaya didn't give him this clarity, whereas Emily did, and I feel
Mhm.
like that should show him like, okay, Emily actually is someone I need to keep around.
Yeah.
So she tells him that she's also writing Sabaya's name down, but if he doesn't write Sabaya's name down, he writes down Emily's name. They're voting him out tonight, and that's
Yep.
pretty much it. So
Mhm.
Caleb talks about how Emily told him the votes are against him. He doesn't 100% believe it because Sabaya's plan was to tell Emily to vote him out tonight. So he really does believe that Sabaya and Sean want to work with him. And again, this is credit to Sabaya. The fact that he thinks that that might not be the case.
Uh-huh.
He believes I thought for a second he was snowed by Sabaya here. Like she convinced him that like, okay, the vote's not on him. So even though he absolutely has possibility of going home, he doesn't actually think that's how it's going to go. So Caleb tells Emily he would go to Rocks for this and he promises her. Emily tells him that it's a 2-2 vote. They both go to Sean and say they're not switching and that he needs to get on board. So Caleb says he has 2 options in front of him right now. He can ride out his alliance and take out Emily, but alternatively, he could vote out Sabaya. It'd be a big move, but he's unsure what would happen if there is a tie or if Sabaya gets her vote back. He actually hasn't fully made a decision yet as he's sitting there in the forest in terms of what he's going to do. He's really built himself in 2 different sides, and now it's up to him to decide what he's going to do about it. And
Ugh,
my
so
God, the
amazing.
way this turns out is truly just a
Good.
magnificent tribal that I'm
This
so
tribal
excited
is
to get to talk about.
fantastic. It's definitely, like, one for the books.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of tribal like we hope to see in a Survivor season, and Ali's going to talk about it right now.
All right. So Sabaya goes over to the fire and puts her idol in it. So, which is just really funny. She's like
Which
cooking.
I think
She's
is
like
so funny.
she's like cooking this idol during tribal.
Yeah, it's literally like a full-on barbecue.
Oh, it's so funny. Sabaya talks about how frustrated she is that the idol is in the wax and her tribe not having fire, and she hasn't had a vote since then, so she's brought some tools to that to at least try. She brings a tool to try to burn the candle during tribal to potentially get an idol. She wanted to come out and just get it over with. These guys have been briefed and they're going down to three, and it's going to be their alliance, a possible switch, possible merge. So, this is going to potentially save one of them in the future. She knew there would be something in the center, so she's going to let it cook for a little bit if that's all right.
Yeah, I think it's so funny that like during this whole tribal, you just have her continually like just playing around with the idol.
Oh, it's
I
so
kept
funny.
waiting for the moment where she's like, "This is stupid. I'm not doing this anymore." But no, she does it the entire tribal, and it's so fun to watch. It made it so much more exciting.
Oh, yeah. It's like so much fun to watch.
Yeah. And I don't know, like you've seen more Survivor than me. Have we ever seen someone get an idol during a tribal? Has this ever happened in the history of Survivor?
I don't think so, unless it's happened on a season I haven't seen, but I don't from what I've seen, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, if it hasn't, I mean, this is just so unprecedented, and I love this.
Oh, it's amazing. So Caleb talks about how during his camp raid, the only thing they could steal was fishing gear, and they don't have fire. But it was really
Yeah,
great because he was able to meet with different members of that tribe and bring information back to their team, which in a swap or merge, it will hopefully help them navigate the next stage of the game.
yeah.
Emily is frustrated because she knows it's her game line. Her failing in the calling position, the rest of the team failing in the puzzle position, felt like the stamp at the end of her game of Survivor. So coming back to camp, they did what they always do, which was scramble, and her brain is scrambled. She also tells Jeff, the first tribal council they were at, that these three are clearly working together and are very strong together. She's done everything in her power today, but ultimately she's not the person who's writing down everybody else's votes.
Yep.
So Sabaya says she thinks so because she feels like anybody would take such harsh jabs early since Emily was coming at her and Caleb. She says, of course, it lingers in the back of your mind, especially when you have other teammates that have never said your name in a conversation about going home.
This is the thing with Sabai and Emily. They just can't put aside like their beef. It seemed like there was going
Yeah,
to be a point where they could, but like they just keep coming back around to like just taking shots at each other, and it's just not it's not great.
definitely not. So Caleb says they know Emily is not going to just say, "Hey guys, it's been a pleasure," but she wanted to meet with all of them. She wanted to make plans. He would say the fear in his shoes is that she would paint him as a target.
Yep.
So, and Sabaya says she'd say a lot of the same. She's been left out of a lot of situations, even with the idol. She just found out about it today, so it could make her feel like letting her pull Caleb and tell him about Sabaya having an idol. Caleb has been her guy from the beginning. That they're perceived as a couple and a pair, and sometimes that could be good or bad.
Yep.
Caleb says Survivor is a game with a lot of twists, swaps, advantages, so having the strongest core is going to be a great thing because anything could change tomorrow.
And then we get like easily the most exciting part of this tribal.
Yes. Oh, so good. So after successfully burning the wax, Sabaya is successfully able to obtain her idol.
Yeah, and this was a great moment. Again,
That's
just seeing
amazing.
her actually get the idol again, all during a tribal council was like, oh
Oh,
my god, this might actually really turn around for Sabaya, and Emily's gonna
yep.
go. But let's talk about what happens.
All right. So she is told later on that because while she's reading the vote card thing, she's like that if she doesn't play it now, it will extend until merge, and she'd sacrifice her vote.
So the same thing that Austin just got happens to Sabaya here, which again I think it's just such a like cracked way to like distribute an idol, where it's like
Oh yeah,
you might not even have an idol for the rest of the game.
literally, it's like crazy.
Like, can you imagine if everyone just like who gets an idol this season, they just play it immediately and there's no idols after
I
like
know. I
heading into the
mean,
merge?
that'd be very interesting if there's no
Yeah,
powers. Like it was strictly social.
yeah.
So she almost plays it, but then thinks the vote is fine, which proves
Let's talk about
which sadly and unfortunately
this.
proves to be a fatal mistake, as she is then voted out by a vote of 2-1.
Which honestly, I give credit to Emily here. I
Yeah,
really do. I think Emily successfully got her to believe that, like, yeah, the vote's not on her. It's gonna be
she was
Emily.
shocked.
It's or it's gonna be Caleb. Like, I think Sabaya, I don't blame her for anything she did except this. I don't know why
Yeah,
she didn't play the idol here. Like,
I
when
don't
you
either.
know,
She was like she was too confident there.
like, here's the thing, it'd be different if there were 6 or 7 people on the tribe. When you're that down in numbers, like, you have to play it. You have to. Like, it's like a necessity at that point. So
Yeah,
the fact that she didn't, I think, was definitely like a game-ending move. I think prior to that, though, she did basically everything right. It was just this one little thing that just completely ruined her chances of
yep,
surviving.
definitely.
And sometimes
Like
that's all it is. It's just one little
literally,
thing.
literally, Caleb and Sabaya let Emily control the tribe.
Yeah.
So she tells Jeff she didn't think she'd be there this early, which same because I thought she was gonna go far.
Yeah, I was
Like
shocked. I mean, literally,
after the first 2 episodes, I'm like, she's going far.
well, especially the last episode. I mean, they gave her like almost this like mastermind edit where they made you think like she was like in the center of everything. Everybody trusted her. She talked about how like she didn't expect to be in that position, but she was. And I don't think that she necessarily ruined that position. I think she just one really underestimated Emily as a game
She did.
player. Two, I think she was in such a strong position. I think she generally thought that, like, okay, I've done such a good job pitting everybody against Caleb that Caleb's going to go, not realizing that Emily had already gotten closer with Caleb. And I think
Yeah,
that is what I would honestly say was the undoing of Sabaya's game. The fact that Caleb was
definitely.
able to get to Emily before Sabaya, I think that's what hurt her. I think if she was able to have the relationship with Emily that Caleb did, I think that things would have gone a lot differently here. I think that she would probably, I think Caleb probably goes in that scenario. I think it really just came down to who got closer to Emily first. And unfortunately, Caleb was able to before Sabaya. Because of that, Sabaya ends up going. So
Yeah, it's, like, unfortunate, but I'm still proud of her, like, it was
yeah.
still such a good episode for her,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and it's definitely, like, one of the top tier episodes.
Yeah.
So, in her retrospective, she says she didn't vote because she just didn't think she needed to. After all the conversations she had, she was sure it was Caleb going home tonight. But even though she got blindsided, you blindside the best players, you blindside the people you're afraid of. So it's good to know they were scared and they did what they had to do. So they got her tonight. She's not going to lie.
Yeah.
Such a good
I
episode.
mean, oh yeah, really great stuff. But let's just talk about Sabaya for a second here. I think regardless of how she played this, I think she's still like one of the best pre-merge players we've had in a
Oh, yeah,
while. I think that
definitely.
the potential that she had, it's there. Like, they absolutely need to bring her back at some point.
I
I think
know.
just for her having the audacity to play to put her idol in the wax during a
Yep.
tribal, how do you
Uh-huh.
not bring her back after that? That is
Oh, I
so
know.
iconic. Like, I guarantee that's going to be something people think of when they think of this season. So like that alone is definitely a reason to bring her back. But then just the way that she handled things this season, I thought was really great. Again, it really just came down to Emily and Caleb's relationship and how close they've gotten in the game, and her just like not recognizing that. I think that's really what hurt her.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely. Like she just got too confident there. She thought she was safe, but I mean, she still like put up a really good fight, and I'm very proud of her. And I think next, like if she has a second chance, she's gonna kill it.
yeah, I think definitely she absolutely would. But yeah, with that said, I mean, there's a little something that we find out at the end of this episode where we see a promo for next week, and it turns out even though they haven't been doing it for the past 4 seasons, they're going to do a tribe swap this season, which is very
Yes,
exciting. We haven't seen this. What, Winners at War was the last time they did this, I
I
think.
think so.
Because they haven't done any of the seasons we've covered. So Yeah, I'm very excited that there is a tribe swap, and we actually already know the tribes. So if you want to pull those up and we can kind of speculate like who's gonna go where, we can go ahead and do that now if you want to.
Sorry?
Oh, the tweet with the swap tribes. You want to pull that up
Oh!
and we can talk about it?
Oh, yeah, let me get it right
Actually, if
now.
you want to send that to me, I can screen share it here and we can speculate on that.
Let me get it. Somewhere in here.
You don't. I know
Oh,
exactly where it is.
here. I can just, like, show it here.
Oh, I was gonna have you just send it to me and then I'd screen share
That's
it.
it's all good. You can just, like, look. So
Oh, I have
the
it. I have it. Never mind. I have it.
oh, here, I can send it to you again.
It's right here. Okay, yeah. So it's right here.
I just sent it to you again.
So yeah, New Bello. We have Austin, Brando, Drew, Emily, and Kendra. If you want to read New Lulu,
Oh, right. So, yeah, Bello is Austin Brando,
I just
Drew.
read that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said Lulu.
Okay. New Lulu is Bruce, Jake, Caleb, Katura, and Kelly.
And Reba, we have D, J Maya, Julie, Sean, and Sifu. So if you can tell, it's not much of a swap for some of
Yeah,
them.
honestly, like, I feel like if whoever goes to tribal, Emily's probably gone for Bello because I feel like Austin and Drew and Kendra and Brando will stick together.
Yeah, I think that is where Emily goes. I
Yeah.
think definitely. I think
Like,
unless
I can
Emily's able to
honestly, yeah,
do
I could Emily kinda gives me either merge boot vibes or swap fuck.
I think the one thing I will say about Emily after this episode is like she's definitely a much more fluid player than I
She
feel like
is.
we've kind of seen her as, and I feel like she can ingratiate herself within that tribe. But I mean, with how close Brando and Kendra and Austin and Drew are, especially Austin and Drew,
Mhm.
I don't know if she would survive.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I will say Reba,
But
I
I also
feel
feel
like
like they might not go to tribal because I feel like
yeah,
they're really strong.
I
So.
can see it. Reba, I think it's probably gonna be Sean because I feel like the others will stick
It's
together.
literally Reba's like barely a swap. It's literally like
Yeah.
take out everybody, like take out Austin and Drew, and it's just the rest of Reba. Like
Yeah,
that's
Sean
literally the
I think
swap.
Sean is definitely another swap fuck, I think. And then honestly, the one
Yeah.
I'm most excited for is Lulu because
Yeah.
Bruce, Jake, Caleb, Katura, Kelly, I don't know who would go.
I don't well, so here's the thing. I think if you were to show me that, I would say, okay, Caleb's probably gone. But with how good Caleb just handled things with Reba, I don't think Caleb goes there. I
Yeah.
think
And I
honestly
also
what's gonna
and, like and I know that, like, Katura will probably go for Bruce, but, like,
oh yeah.
Kelly will probably try and, like, say, "Don't let's not."
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting. I feel like Kelly's gonna want like try
I
to
don't
push
know
for like
I don't know
Caleb.
why, but I don't know why, but I feel like something would be used, and I could see, like, a Jake leaving.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, what would be used?
I don't know if somebody had found some idol or something.
I mean, it's possible they could.
Yeah.
But Lulu, I mean, yeah, because the Lulu idol's gone. So yeah, it's
Honestly,
probably
yeah,
gonna be
I think out of this, Lulu's the one I'm most excited for.
yeah, because like Reba, obvious that Sean goes. I don't think it's even a question. I think that Bello, I don't know what would happen there because like it could be Emily, but it could also be somebody else. And then,
Yeah,
but
we'll
I don't know
see.
why it would be anyone else. So
Yeah,
Lulu's the one that like I'm definitely the most interested in. I feel like that's the one that definitely is like the one to watch out for. But yeah,
definitely.
just in general, I'm like really happy they're doing a tribe swap. I feel like it makes things so much more interesting and it keeps the game so much more fluid, especially because like I feel like in recent seasons, specifically last season, like everyone just stayed loyal to their starting tribe.
Yeah.
Everyone who they were like started out with, they stayed loyal to, and that's not going to happen this season, I feel like. So I'm very excited to see how this goes.
Sorry, I was just turning off my other light.
Oh yeah, you're good. But yeah, other than that, I'm anything else you want to say about the swap?
Um, I mean, I'm just very excited to see what
Yeah.
happens with the dynamics.
Mhm.
We'll see. Yeah, like I definitely am most excited to see Lulu's, but everyone else super excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
And we might do it live tomorrow. We might not. We'll
We'll see.
see.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see what
We will.
happens with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, we have things to plug. You want to plug them?
All right. So stay tuned for last week's Big Brother, of course, which we'll do probably later on.
It's,
And then we're gonna
not a
we're
spicy week, but this week is a pretty spicy week, I will
oh
say.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Um, and then obviously we're gonna try and catch up on the first 3 episodes of the Traders Canada. We'll probably do that maybe this week. We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
Um, House of Villains, possibly we might watch the first episode and do a podcast for.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it, so I think we're
Me
definitely gonna try
too.
to talk about that one.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be fun. And then obviously our season reviews. Stay tuned for that whenever we are not busy. Like probably
Yeah.
when we'll probably do those also too, like when there's not much to talk about, like when Survivor and Big Brother are done.
Which won't be for a while, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Big
Yeah.
Brother's soon, but Survivor not for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Really, just again, just want to say, really loving this season a lot. I think they're really going all out. There's so many things that they showed us, particularly in this episode, that I think we just would not have seen, especially like the conversations between like Jake and Kendra. I don't think we would have seen that if it wasn't for the 90 minutes. And I think that just
Yeah.
added
Yeah.
so much more, especially like when they're having that conversation. It just makes it feel like so much more fulfilling, like knowing the context and things like that. Cause
Yeah.
I feel like the previous 2 seasons, especially, like there's been a lot of like, wait, what are they talking about? What's the dynamic? Like we know the dynamics in all these tribes, and it's so much
Yeah.
more fulfilling that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, other than that, that's it for this video. As always, comment down below, let us know what you guys thought of this week's episode of Survivor. Loved your thoughts on all of that. And remember, couples who podcast together stay together. We will see you guys later.
Bye guys.